Visigoth Kingdom. The Visigoth Kingdom, officially the Kingdom of the Goths, was a kingdom that occupied what is now southwestern France and the Iberian Peninsula from 5th to the 8th centuries, one of the Germanic successor states to the Western Roman Empire. It was originally created by the settlement of the Visigoths under King Waleya in the province of Gallia Aquitaina in southwest Gaul, by the Roman government at the extended by conquest over the Hispania. The kingdom maintained independence from the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Empire, whose attempts to re-establish Roman authority in Hispania were only partially successful and short-lived. The Visigoths were Romanized Central Europeans who had moved from west of the Danube Valley. They became votarati of Rome and went to restore Roman rule against the hordes of Vandals, Alans, and Suebi. The Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD. Therefore, the Visigoths believed that they had the right to take the territories that Rome had promised in Hispania in exchange for restoring Roman order. Under King Euric, who eliminated the statues of foederati, a triumphal advance of the Visigoths began, alarmed at Visigoth expansion from Aquitina after a victory over the Gallo-Roman and Breton armies at Dils at 469. Western Emperor Anthemius sent a fresh army across the Alps against the Euric and was besieging Aries. The Roman army was crushed in battle nearby, and Euric was then captured by Arles and secured much of southwestern Gaul. Sometimes referred to as the Regnum Toulousum, or Kingdom of Toulouse, after its capital Toulouse in modern historiography, the kingdom lost much of its territory in Gaul to the Franks in the 6th century, save the narrow coastal strip of Semtimina. The kingdom of the 6th and 7th centuries is sometimes called the Regnum Toulousum, or the Kingdom of Toledo, after the new capital of Toledo in Hispania. A civil war starting in 549 resulted in the invitation from the Visigoths, Antigild, who had usurped the kingdom, to the Byzantine Empire Justine I, to send soldiers to its assistance. Athengold won the war, but the Byzantines took over Cartagena, a good deal of southern Hispania, until 624, when Swillia expelled the last Byzantine garrisons from the peninsula, occupying Orchelis, which was the Visigoths called Aurelior, or today Aurelia, in the southern province of Alicante. Starting in 570, Athengild's brother, Livigild, compensated for the loss by conquering the kingdoms of the Suebi in Galicia, corresponding roughly to the present-day Galicia at the northern part of Portugal, and annexing it, and by repeating campaigns against the Basques. The ethnic distinction between the Hispano-Roman population and the Visigoths had largely disappeared by this time. The Gothic language lost its last and probably already declining function as a church language when the Visigoths renounced Arianism in 589. The newfound unity found expression in the increasingly severe persecution of outsiders, especially the Jews. The Visigoth Code, completed in 654, abolished the old tradition of having different laws for Hispano-Romans and Visigoths. The 7th century saw many civil wars between the factions of aristocracy. Despite good records left by the contemporary bishops, such as Isidore and Leander of Seville, it became increasingly difficult to distinguish between Goths from their Hispano-Romans, as they two had become inextricably intertwined. Despite these civil wars, by 625 AD, the Visigoths had succeeded in expelling the Byzantines from Hispania and had established a foothold in the port of Ketu in Africa. Most of the Visigoth kingdom was conquered by the Umadi troops from northern Africa in 711 AD, which only the northern reaches of Hispania remaining in Christian hands. These gave birth to the medieval kingdom of Asturias, with the Visigoth noblemen called Pelagus and elected princeps of Asturias of the Celtic region, who lived in the mountains, and by the Visigoths population, who had fled from the Muslims and took refuge in Asturias, where they had joined Pegalis. The Visigoths and their early kings were Arians and came in conflict with the Catholic Church, but after they converted to Nicene Christianity, the Church exerted an enormous influence on secular affairs through the councils of Toledo. The Visigoths also developed a highly influential law code known in Western Europe as the Visigoth Code, which would become the basis of Spanish law throughout the Middle Ages.